Recording in progress.
Hello everyone, I am Juan Carlo Bisangalang and today I will be doing my FCR for Conworld. I will be giving a brief speech on what I have learned so far in this subject. So, for our first topic, let us talk about globalization. Is it good or is it bad? In this subject, I have learned a lot about globalization. It's good. We will talk about the good sides of globalization. First is economic growth. Globalization has allowed nations to boost trade, investments, and job opportunities. This is seen in major economies of today that in the first half of the 20th century were considered backwater third world nations. An example of this is China and India. China and India during the first half of the 20th century were countries filled with poverty and suffering. But through globalization, they were able to be in the top 10 of nations with the highest GDP. Next would be faster communication. Globalization has allowed enhanced global connectivity through the internet and social media. And lastly, for the good sides of globalization, in this example, would be opportunities for businesses. Globalization has allowed many companies to expand into new markets and grow internationally, not only benefiting these companies, but also benefiting people as well, allowing people to experience a new type of culture as well as having new jobs. So if there are good sides of globalization, there are also bad ones. An example of an example of bad things of globalization is first job displacement. Local workers may lose jobs due to outsourcing and automation. An example of this is the US car manufacturing industry. Many US car manufacturing jobs have been outsourced to China and have been automated by robots. Next side is economic inequality. The wealth gap between rich and poor nations have widened so far due to globalization, allowing rich countries to, to take advantage of poor ones, allowing them to take advantage of their natural resources like oil and other minerals. And last is brain drain. This is where skilled workers from developing countries migrate to wealthier nations, leaving shortages at home. This can be glaringly seen in our nation, the Philippines, where a major chunk of the workforce leaves this nation to find better opportunities abroad. So, what can we do? Since there are good and bad sides to globalization, what can we really do about it? You would ask. Well, we can try to adapt to the effects of globalization. We can try, the first thing we can try is preserve cultural identity, promote and protect traditional cultures, languages, and heritage. An example of nations that have preserved their cultural identity while being globalized at the same time is Japan. Japan is a very globalized country, but it still preserves its cultural identity. An example of this in Japan is the city of Kyoto, considered a city of 1,000 temples that preserves Japan's cultural identity. Next would be encourage inclusive economic growth. Develop policies that reduce income inequality and benefit all social classes. If the rich get richer, the poor should also benefit. Example of nations that does this are the Nordic countries, where if the rich get richer, the poor also benefit from it. And last would be support local businesses. Encourage consumers to buy local products to help small businesses compete, especially in the globalized world where it is highly competitive. How can you expect your economy to compete with the economies of other nations when your economy is not being supported by its own people? So these are some things that I propose, which is a Benildian expression of towards adaptability towards problems in life. So now I have a question for you. What can you do to balance the effects of globalization? And that is it for my speech and presentation. I am Juan Carlo Bisangalang, and I hope you have learned something.